taken me forever. But I am writing a book called The Dave Clemens Experience, which is about how I got into radio.
Hello, Courage, Confidence, Connections podcast fans. Welcome back. I have an exciting interview with Dave Clemens, and he is actually in the area where I live in Central Oregon. He is a local radio star, DJ. He said he didn't think he was a star, but he is. He's fairly well known around here. So, welcome, Dave.
Oh, thank you. Wonderful to be here on your program.
Well, thank you, and I'm glad we got you on camera now. We'll let everybody know what you look like. Everybody knows your voice, so now we'll put the face to it.
Every time I meet somebody that listens to me on the radio, they're like, "You don't look like I thought you would." And I'm not sure if that's good or not.
Yeah, do they ever tell you what they think you would look like?
No, because I'll ask. I'll try to press them on that and say, "Well, what'd you think I'd look like?" They go, "Oh, I don't know." But I purposely on the show, a lot of times I'll say that I'm way overweight and I'm balding. And that way, when I do meet somebody, they always say, "Oh, you don't look that bad." And that's a great way to start a conversation right there.
Well, it is for sure. And I've heard from other DJs that sometimes it's better that people don't know what you look like if they don't like your station or your show or something. It's better.
Yeah, my wife now, when someone approaches her and said and sees her last name and says, "Oh, are you married to Dave Clemens or do you know Dave Clemens?" Now she always asks why. She doesn't say yes or no. She always goes, "Why?"
What do you want to know?
Yeah, yeah. What's the story? So
Oh,
I'm starting to
that's
do that as well.
well, that's great. Well, let's talk about how you got into this industry. I do know a little bit about it from previous experiences, but let's tell our audience how you got into being a DJ, because I know you do mobile DJ work as well, and we'll talk about that. We want to promote your businesses.
Sure, sure. I appreciate that. Well, the radio thing is interesting. I'm actually taking me forever, but I am writing a book called The Dave Clemens Experience, which is about how I got into radio. And basically, it starts with my dad used to build radios, and I would sit on the floor of the garage while he was at his bench building radios, and I'd hear him pulling in all these stations. And at some point, probably about 12 years old, I decided this is what I want to do. I think I want to be one of these voices on the radio. And so my plan was that I was going to go to college, maybe get a communications degree and get a job on the radio. But my first semester at a community college down in the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area, I had an assignment where I had to go to a radio station and learn about demographics or something. And I sat in on a morning show. And the host, his name was Kevin Boom Boom Anderson. This was at 93 Rock in Sacramento. At the end of the broadcast, he turns to me and he says, "So you're going to school to be on the radio, huh?" And I said, "Yes." And he says, "Oh, you're an idiot. You should go to school to be a lawyer or a doctor, something that gets a lot of chicks. If
Oh
you just
my,
want to be on the radio, you should just go get a job on the radio." And just by chance, here I am, 18 years old. I was visiting my parents. They just moved to Prineville, Oregon.
oh,
And I just called the nearest radio station to their house, which was in Prineville. And they just put an ad in the paper that morning. And I went down, interviewed, and that's how I got started in 1989.
wow. That
Yeah.
is quite a story. I love the fact that you grew up watching your dad build the radios. That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Fascinating. You didn't want to do that, but you wanted to be a voice on the radio.
Correct. Correct. Yeah. I have no electronic skills whatsoever. So it's a good thing I didn't want to go that direction. I don't think I could have done it.
Oh, that's pretty funny. Well, there is a an expectation that all DJs have to have this voice. Do you have to, did you grow up or were you born with this voice, or did you have to go through training to get the voice to where it was a DJ voice and all that stuff?
That's an interesting question because a lot of people will come to me. I'm the operations manager for Horizon Broadcasting Group. So I do pretty much the hiring nowadays for anybody that's going to be on the air. And it's funny to me how often someone will say, "Yeah, you got to talk to this guy. He has a great radio voice." And really, it has nothing to do with the voice. It's just this guy have or this lady have something to say, you know? Can they connect with the audience or whatever? So the voice thing I thought was really important in the beginning. And to answer your question, I didn't go through any training. I got my first job on the radio. My voice was okay, but this is weird. I was in the Northeast. I was visiting a girlfriend in Princeton University. So I fly into New York and I take a bus listening to local radio, New York, the largest radio market in the nation.
Mm.
And as I was listening, I just noticed that they kind of projected differently than a normal person talking.
Oh,
So it's less about, to me, I think it's less about the voice and more about when I realized this is how you're supposed to project,
oh,
if that makes any sense.
yeah.
So, I mean, everybody loves to hear the nice deep voice, the friendly voice, or whatever, but I think it's more the projection thing is what kind of changed things for me, my delivery and such. My voice is okay, but there's a lot of better voices out there for sure. But there's also weaker voices out there that have something better to say than I do, and therefore would probably be better radio broadcasters than I am.
Well, I was told that about podcast as well, which podcasts are mostly audio, but mine is a video podcast. And I think that's got maybe a different title to it. And I was told that as well. It's less about the visual and the voice, it's more about the content.
Yeah.
People want content, and that's true with the radio too. You want to tune in and hear the music you like. Now, you DJ rock. It's not rock, it's oldies. So it's and you manage the whole station, operations manager, so you get to work with the different DJs, and do you train them?
Yes, I try to. Well, it's weird because there's some, there's like any other job, there's all kinds of things that people don't realize are going on behind the scenes and such. But the one thing that you can't train them on is their personality.
Yeah.
So you just kind of hope that you get someone that can just relate to the audience,
Hmm.
and that age group that they're talking to
Yeah.
as well. And so as far as training goes, this is why we play this type of song after this type of song, and those kind of boring things to the outsider. But it's really on them at the end of the day on can you connect with the listener and can you talk about things that matter to them.
Well, that's very true. I mean, I've listened to enough radio stations, and being from North Carolina, it was different, similar but different. I had my favorite country, my favorite oldies. Now I'm really much more into the oldies, and that's how I even heard about you, was I found your station and started listening. I I would be curious to tell our audience, how do you know what to play after a certain song? What is the science or the methodology behind that?
Oh, good. See, this is the exciting part for me. This is the
Okay.
stuff that I find fascinating. So first of all, I want to say we're not actually an oldie station. We're a classic hits, is what they call it. Because when you say oldies, for us, you and I, oldies would really be like what Elvis
Yeah.
and Buddy Holly and all that. Even though in the 80s, when we listened to what they called oldies, which was music from the 50s, that
Mm,
was music that was only 30 years old.
it's true.
Classic hits, I mean, you are right. Basically, we're playing the oldies because a song from 30 years ago would be what, 1995?
Yeah, that's
And music
oh,
that's older than that. I'm playing stuff from the 80s, tiny bit
uh,
from the 70s. We're starting to get into the 90s. But the way we do the music is we actually have a company that calls out. I think they do it once a month. They make phone calls and they play little clips of songs and say, how does the song make you feel? Do you like this? You don't like it? You're tired of it? You've heard it too much? And they actually grade these songs.
really.
Yeah, and then they take those songs and they put them all together, and then they put them in different categories, right? So, um, on our station, you wouldn't want to play with a classic hit station. You wouldn't play two hard rock songs in a row. So even though we play AC/DC
Hmm.
and we also play Bon Jovi, not really hard rock, but rock,
Hmm.
we wouldn't play those two songs in a row normally. And the reason why is you don't want to alienate the other part of your audience. So a good example, so I'm a classic rock guy, but my co-host Jimbo likes disco.
Oh,
So if we were to play two hard rock songs in a row, or AC/DC and then Def Leppard,
mm,
right? I'm like, yeah, this is awesome. And he'd be like, oh, I wish we were listening to Earth, Wind, and Fire right now. And he might tune out for that reason. Well, it
yeah.
goes the other way too. Man, you play the Bee Gees and then Earth, Wind, and Fire. And I'm like, oh no, what is this? So what you do is you go AC/DC, then Bee Gees, and then maybe Def Leppard, or even better, you might do the Cars of the Police, which is considered new wave, and you keep a mix going like that so that you don't lose anybody. I see your face when I said Cars are new wave. Believe it or not, that's what they called them back in the day. But I know to you and I, they're just rock and roll
Oh, yeah.
and good
Yeah.
stuff, of course. But so there's a mix there that you would do, and then there's also another thing that you would stay away from. You try not to play three female artists in a row,
Really?
three male artists in a row. Yeah, there's just this tapestry. You're trying to put together a mix so that you're never pegged as one thing. Because if someone, the average listener, believe it or not, only listens for 15 minutes. And if in that 15 minutes you played all male artists and it was all rock and roll, that person now believes that your station is a rock station.
Oh, yeah.
And they don't realize, well, we also play Madonna or Prince.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah,
that's
you do have a really good variety. I have noticed that. And how about let's talk commercials because there's some of us who, as soon as the commercial comes on, we tune out, turn
yeah.
off, tune out. Yeah, let's talk commercials because that supports what you do. And I think our audience needs to know the value of commercials, even though most of us just go, whoop.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing because of course radio is still free. It comes in most cars still, and it's 100% free, and it's free because of advertising, just like Facebook is, right?
Mhm.
I think people say, I hate the advertisements on radio or on Facebook or on a lot of things. And the fact of the matter is that's what pays for everything, right? It's tough because you have to play them, otherwise you have no income. I mean, that's the whole model of the business. And it's also interesting to me, there's a few commercials that I find annoying, that other people find annoying. I believe that they could be a tune out. That's when someone is going to bail out, right?
Yeah.
They're going to miss the next great thing I'm going to do because they've left because of how the spot is. But on the flip side, sometimes I get people writing in saying, "Hey, can you get rid of this commercial? It really bothers me." And
Hmm.
you're like, "Well, I mean, I can't sell a commercial to you and then tell them I can't do their commercial because I don't know. I feel like there's got to be an infringement on the Constitution or something if I do that." And then again, of course, at the end of the day, especially if you're hearing a commercial a lot,
Hmm.
that's because they're paying a lot.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, they pay per commercial. So yeah, it's a tough one because you got to be careful. And so we do some things to try to minimize the pain. If there's not a lot of commercials within an hour, we
Hmm.
try to put them together in one or two spots so that we can get a good 30-minute music sweep
Oh,
twice,
good.
or especially on, I don't know if you've heard 95.7 The Ranch. That's our country station.
Oh,
It plays 80s and 90s country. Great
nice.
station. It's a lot of fun. But on that station, what we try to do is we do a commercial break around the 10 and
Hmm.
around the 50. And therefore, we've got from 55 to that 10, we've got a sweep of just music. And then we do it again around from 25 to that 50 break, another sweep of 30 minutes. So there's some strategies to try to give the listener what they want, and that is,
Yeah.
just music.
That's true. And there's so many options out there nowadays because in cars, especially the newer ones, you've got Cirrus or some of these other things that you're not, I don't know how that works with the radio stations. My car is old enough that I don't have that. So so I do have the radio, but I'm curious how that has impacted the radio industry, the FM
Well,
radio.
it's interesting because everybody said when Sirius came out and these internet-based stuff that radio's going to die or whatever. But there's a couple of things there. Number one, they say that 83% of the population still listens to the radio at least once a week. 83%. That's pretty good. It's a little bit down from when we were kids,
Hmm.
But it's funny because they say, well, now you've got this competition. You're going to lose listeners. But the fact of the matter is they said the same thing when they started putting 8-track tapes in cars and then cassette tapes and then DVD or CDs and
Hmm.
then MP3s, MP3 players. And then they said the same thing, obviously, with Sirius. So we've always had a competition when it comes to music. But here's the thing if the middle sister out here, the mountain, blows up because it's a volcano,
Yeah.
no one's tuning into Joe Rogan to find out what's happening. They're listening to local radio.
Hmm.
There's when the parkway out here is jammed up with traffic, you go to local radio. So as long as we keep that local connection, we're
Hmm.
going to survive.
And I like that because I'm all about connecting people, but also I'm all about the local community and that type of thing. And that's vital. That's really it's like the heartbeat, out there. And you're right. When you're in a traffic jam, you're not tuning into Facebook. Well, you might tune into Facebook, but you better be careful for sure. Now,
Right.
do you broadcast? I know you're on the internet. You have an internet streaming service?
Yes, yeah, yeah. KQAK.com for my morning show. And I'm surprised at how many people actually listen that way. We get the analytics every week,
Hmm.
and I've got people all over the world, actually. Some of them, there's a guy, he was somewhere in the east side of Europe. I can't remember what country he was from, but he used to engage with the show every day because it happened to be on when he would be at work and he'd listen to it on the internet. And I guess he used to live in Bend. And when he moved, he kept listening to the show. And that was just kind of fun to know if there's somebody out there listening on the other side of the world.
That's fantastic. Well, I'm a big Frasier fan, and I gotta say this because he did a talk radio thing, and I don't know how true this is, but they would want him to do the commercials, and he never liked doing commercials. Do any of your DJs actually do personal commercials for local businesses?
Yes, yes. I've had a few different endorsements over the years, and
Okay.
those are nice. Sometimes they can be kind of lucrative too, to be honest. So it's nice when that happens. And I always talk about when they talk about listenership. How many listeners do you have? Right now, our ratings are great. People love classic hits. I'd like to take credit for it, but I think music drives ratings too.
Yeah.
Um, but I've always told people it doesn't matter how many people are listening to me, it's how many people will do what I tell them to. So if I say, "Oh, go to this mattress store and get this mattress because I got this mattress and I love this mattress and it's the best mattress."
Yeah.
If I say that and we have 5 listeners that trust me enough that they'll go try that mattress and buy that mattress, that's better than another station that might have 1,000 listeners and none of them does what you tell them to do. And so they don't get those 5 people. So I think endorsements are a very powerful tool.
Yeah.
And I like an endorsement because a nice thing about endorsement is I can turn it down. If someone comes to me and they say, "Hey, yeah, we're selling Nazi flags, and we would like you to sell those for us," I can say, "No, I don't think I want to endorse Nazi flags, unless
Right.
we're doing it for like firewood or something. I'm not endorsing Nazi flags. So if I do an endorsement, it is going to be something I believe in,
Yeah.
and I think that can be pretty powerful for a company that's looking for a different way to raise their sales and such.
Well, and I think it's great because, when people contact me frequently about who to call for this and who to call for that and where do you get that, they respect the fact that I tried it or I did it or I use it. And you're right. It's a powerful connecting tool. And on the radio especially, back to Frazier, I just love it because he went and tried these restaurants that he had to recommend, and it gets comical. I don't know if you're a Frasier fan, but
I love Frasier. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, and that's talk radio. So let me ask this question: Is there any popular talk radio stations going on these days? I know you guys are all music, but what is popular? is a good place to tune in if you want to hear talk radio. Do you guys have that option?
We do.
Oh.
KBNW is a conservative talk radio station. Most talk radio stations are conservative, and there's different feelings on why that is. A lot of people feel that because for the liberal view, if you will, the opposite of conservative radio is pretty much all other media.
Hmm.
And so, I think that's why Fox News is rated higher than any of the other news stations, is because it's one place where all the conservatives go, where your liberals are split up between MSNBC and CNN and ABC and CBS. Well, it's the same is true, I believe, for radio. They've
Hmm.
tried to do like a liberal talk, and it doesn't do real well in commercial radio. Of course, you've got NPR. They say they're not liberal, but we all know they lean to the left, and that's fine. We know that. So when you go there, you know that that's the score, and that's fine. Just like you know that when you go to KBNW, you are listening to conservative radio. You're going to hear Sean Hannity's opinion on what's going on, whether it's right or wrong, but at least you know that's where he's coming from. So that
Yeah.
seems to be where talk radio is at. I kind of like what's happened with these podcasts because now we've got so much programming. You can find, you're into toy trains. You can find a show about toy trains.
Mhm.
And you couldn't find that on the radio back in the day because there's only so much radio out there.
Yeah. Well, a good friend of mine has a very popular YouTube channel with old cars and stuff, and he actually has an audience that likes to watch how he fixes cars, and he gets that interaction. So I told him the other day, I said, you better look into Amazon Prime because I've been watching a show. If people haven't seen Clarkson's Farm, let me tell you, that is just a fabulous show. Giving old Amazon a plug here, but what can I say? But yeah, now are there any call-in shows like, like the old Frasier stuff? Is that passe? Is that days gone by? Are there any things like that out there?
There is.
Oh.
Call-ins still happen. I mean, on my music show, I take call-ins or whatever, but it's not like Frasier where it's just nonstop call-ins or whatever. I'm not sure if Delilah still does a show. We used to have Delilah on, I believe she was out of Seattle. It was like a Love Line nighttime show thing that was a call-in. It was pretty good. Um, so yeah, a lot of talk shows are still doing call-ins. You don't see it like the Frasier thing where, he's just solving problems for you all morning. I think that would be fun. I think that's actually my next step that I would like to do with my career
Mhm.
is when I leave doing music radio, because at some point I'm going to, believe it or not, be too old for even KQAK because,
Really?
well, we're kind of aiming at someone, well, they like to say we're aiming for like a 35 to 65. That's too wide, to be honest. If you listen to the
Yeah.
music, we're kind of aiming at around 45.
Oh.
We're starting to play music now that I'm like not getting anymore.
Yeah.
Like Boys to Men, not
Oh.
really my thing. I'm too old, you know? And so as we start playing that, eventually I'll age out of the format. And I'm thinking of what I'd like to do is talk radio. I would love to do mornings, maybe on KBNW,
Hmm.
have it be a call-in program talking about the news stories of the day, local and national. That
That'd
would
be
be
fantastic.
amazing.
Yeah, it would be fun too, and that type of thing. That's why I started doing this. I just happened into this, and I get to talk to all kinds of wonderful people and share all kinds of points of view, and so I'm growing my audience as well. Just having the opportunity to voice, and having people learn about what they do, because I really want to promote local community. I'm working on some local, you know, stars, if you will, to get the word out about this area and what people like about it. And I've had all kinds of things. I also have a cat who will probably is making himself known. He's getting famous too. Toby. Um, so let's talk about your where courage may have come into your life. And did you find yourself needing courage and confidence to step into being a DJ back in the day?
That's you. So that's a hard question.
That's what I'm known for.
Yeah, because I don't see myself as a courageous person.
Mhm.
I um I kind of lucked out when it came to parents.
Oh.
Growing up, I meet a lot of people that didn't have this, and it was hard for me in the beginning of my life because I didn't realize not everybody had the confidence that was instilled in me when I was growing up. And
Hmm.
that was basically just that we're all the same and no one's better than you.
Yep.
No one's worse than you either. And I think because I felt like no one was better than me, I felt like that I could do it. I
Hmm.
wasn't sure how I was going to do it, get on the radio because that was such a big dream of mine, but I knew I was going to at some point because I'd seen other people do it.
Hmm.
Why can't I? We're all the same.
Yeah.
And so I don't know about courage except for uh, you know, when I went in for that first interview, I'm like, oh gosh, what am I doing here? I'm going to walk in there and say, hey, I want to be on the radio. I did one semester in college and I'm ready to be on the air. So maybe that's some courage there, but I wouldn't say it was above and beyond what anybody else has.
Well, that's fantastic because not everybody is raised to think that way. And having grown up in the South, I'm very thankful that my parents didn't even have to instill because racism wasn't a thing I was raised around. I was in the South and I saw it, but I was not raised to think anything different from other people. It didn't matter what color your skin was, it didn't matter anything. Although I was a preacher's kid and I did get picked on for that.
Oh,
So
you did.
I did. I think I was in the eighth grade or ninth grade and moved to a new school and uh-oh, PK time. That's yeah, so that was interesting. Now, do you have kids? I know you said you had a wife. You have kids?
Yeah, so I've got one kid that I made
One
about
kid that you
33
made?
years ago. Yeah, my daughter Aiden.
Oh,
And when I got married, I got two bonus kids.
nice, nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, do any of those aspire to follow in your footsteps? At
Not at all. My not at all. So um my daughter, she actually works in radio doing what they call traffic. And what that isn't traffic like what's on the roadways. That's uh, putting the commercials into the logs that need to be played every day. And she's actually working for a radio station group in Vermont, but she lives here in Bend, Oregon, so she does it all online,
Wow,
and that's what she does. And then my youngest, he actually works at the radio station. He
really?
does what we call barter, and that is you can pay for some of your services by playing commercials, and instead of them giving you cash, they give you programming or whatever. And he actually puts in all the barter for the five radio stations, and then he also takes care of our five websites. Well, six websites if you include mycentraloregon.com.
Wow,
Yeah.
that is fabulous. So it's a family thing, sort of.
Yeah, but none of them want to be on the radio. I'm always trying to get them. Now, Aiden did have a show on the radio, and this is interesting. It was actually a call-in program,
Oh,
and you'd call in to sell stuff. So
very.
people would call in and say, "I'm looking for a new cow or something," and get their phone number on the air. And that
Yeah.
was a very popular show for many years. But once Facebook came along and you got Marketplace and all that, it just kind of fell off.
Yeah. It's like selling stuff in the newspaper. That is really, those days are gone.
Yeah, yeah.
Way gone. I don't know if anybody even reads a newspaper. And I work with press releases, so I do have some clients that pay me to do press releases, and I kind of get into the flow of that. Now, on that note, I am curious, do radio stations ever do press releases for anything?
As far as us
Hmm.
putting out a press release or using a press release on the air.
No, I prepare them, but do you guys ever, let's say I had a client that wanted to get their name out there. Do you guys do press releases on air?
Some, I mean, if it's something that we think matters, that would be interesting to our listener,
Yeah.
you know. So I'll get a press release. Most of my releases, I'm the public affairs guy too here.
Oh,
So if it's something coming up and it's we're doing a big walk at the park to save the children, et cetera, that goes into the public affairs programming that we do.
Nice.
I require a public service announcement every hour on every station here because
Hmm.
I think we should try to do some good in the community. So
Yeah.
that'll go there. Sometimes there's other stories that are things that are like after the fact. Matter of fact, I got a press release this morning. Somebody donated some money to Neighbor Impact. So I'll forward that over to our news guy. So he might use it in the news or whatever. But yeah, yeah. If you go to mycentraloregon.com, there's
Yeah.
places where you can submit public service announcements and media release and such. And I'd encourage you to do that because I'll get it and it'll go to the news guy too. And if it's something we think that the area will be interested in, then we do use them. Yeah.
Very nice. That's good to know. And I had not thought about asking you that previously. But DJ on the radio is not all you're about. So let's talk about your side business, if you will, that you are involved in. So let's talk about wedding DJ stuff.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm an event DJ. I would say it's 95% weddings that I do. Every once in a while, someone will talk me into doing a corporate event or something. Um, but I enjoy doing the weddings. Most of the weddings are going to happen on a Saturday or Sunday, so I know when they're going to be, where
Most,
some corporate events aren't quite like that. I've been doing that for about 20 years. When I first got into radio, this last time around, um, I started at entry level again, and I was looking for more income.
mhm.
And I was actually thinking about like getting a job at 7-Eleven and working like from midnight to 4 and then coming to the radio station, do my morning show and such. And I was like, I mean, I was this close to doing it. And a friend of mine came along and he was a wedding DJ and said, "Hey, I'm looking for another DJ for my business."
Yeah.
And so I worked for him for 1 year, for
Mhm.
one season. Learned a lot from him. Great guy. I think he's still mad at me because I left and started my own thing.
Whoops.
But at the time, I had a good friend that said, "Why don't you do your own business? You could make a lot more money." I said, "Well, I don't have the money to get all the equipment, and all that." And she actually said, "Well, I'll write you a check. We'll put together a plan on how you pay me back." And we did that. Within a year, I had her paid back probably twice over. So it
Nice.
was a good investment for her. And I'd started my business. And like I said, that was like 20 years ago. And it's just been it's a wonderful business. It's a little bit of work. It's a little harder than you might think.
Yeah.
I think most jobs are harder than you think once you start doing them, right?
I
Um, but it's a wonderful job. I get to be part of someone's most special day in their life. I mean,
mhm.
how many times do you get married in your life? 3, 4 times?
Three, 5, 6, depending on who you
Yeah,
are.
I give a discount on your third wedding, by the way.
Right, right. Yeah, well, there are businesses you can't have repeat business, but we don't want to
Yeah,
go there. Yeah,
right, right.
yeah. Well, that's funny. So you can offer a discount if they get married more than 2 or 3 times.
To be honest, I've only had two different clients that I had done two of their weddings.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny. I don't know. I thought it was kind of interesting. Well, sometimes you don't get it right. Most of the time they do. Sometimes you don't.
Yeah, sometimes you don't. Been there, done that. A lot of us have. Well, that's fantastic. And how do people reach you other than obviously the radio station? But let's talk about how they reach you if they're interested in an event for your DJ business.
Yeah, yeah. DaveClemens.com.
Easy.
Yeah, yeah. I've got a website. You just click on the weddings tab and you can get pricing and availability and what I do and all that.
Right.
It's funny too, because sometimes I'll tell people I don't think you need me because they're like, we're just looking for someone to play music at our wedding. It's like, well, get a drunk uncle to do that. That's no big deal. A good wedding DJ, and not just me. There's lots of good wedding DJs out there. But if you get a good wedding DJ, they're going to run your timeline for you. They're going to help you do the planning. They're going to make sure that you just worry about the best day of your life while they run that timeline and start, it's time for the first dances or time for the toast and tell everybody what they're supposed to be doing and such. That's really what you need a wedding DJ for. If you need one, DaveClemens.com.
Excellent. That's wonderful. And I think our time is getting close, but I do want you to give any final words of wisdom to our audience or anything you'd like to share that we haven't touched base on, Dave.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I kind of liked your courage question.
Okay.
People out there trying to do something that they want to do with their life and they're a little afraid to do it or they don't know how to do it or whatever. There was a commencement speech done by um, Winston Churchill. And he comes out on stage and he's got his hat on, that top hat he wore, and he's got his cane. He walks up, sets the cane down, takes the hat off, sets it on the podium, and he says to the class, I think it was at Oxford, but I'm not 100% sure. He says, never give up. Everybody cheers. And then he says, never give up. And everybody cheers. He says it one more time, never give up. Everybody cheers, takes his hat, puts it back on his head, grabs his cane,
Hmm.
walks off the stage. Because to me, that's the ticket right there. That's all you need to know. That's all you need
Yeah.
to know.
Very true. Very true. I do have one more question. Have you ever thought about being like a trainer or training DJs on the side, kind of like an educational, not just in your job, people, like mentoring? Is that something you would ever do?
Yeah, I think that'd be awesome. My second choice, if I wasn't going to be a radio broadcaster, would have been to be a teacher, actually,
Oh.
because I think that would be really cool. I think that's powerful. I had great mentors growing up,
Hmm.
just by luck, between some family members, a couple of teachers in school, some friends that really made a difference
Hmm.
just by mentoring me in different areas. And some of them at the time I had no idea that that's what they were doing, that they were mentoring me. I don't know if they knew that's what they were doing, but you can learn so much from someone's different perspective. And I think that's pretty valuable.
Yeah, and that's why I coach, is because if I can help somebody avoid pitfalls in life that I've been through or help them take the next step, that's important to me. And matter of fact, I was having a conversation with somebody recently about changing the name of what I do from coaching to mentoring, because it is more of a mentorship, and and there's so many coaches out there. It's like, okay, I want to set myself apart. But being a mentor, I have been a big sister to high school kids before. And it's just amazing. I think the mentors get as much or more out of it as the kids.
I think so too. I think so too.
Yeah. And I know you guys, I think you guys have actually promoted big brother, big sister stuff at
They're
different.
a partner. Yeah, yeah. They're one of our partners for sure.
Yeah, I thought I'd heard that. Well, I want to thank you so much. Is there anything else you'd like to share before we wrap it up? I'll try to keep this around 30 minutes or so. Do
I
you?
just like to thank you for having me on. This is so cool. Thank you. And it's wonderful to see you doing this. I remember when you first started talking about doing it, and I was like, that's going to be cool. And it looks like you've really hit a stride with this.
Yep, and we'll have you on YouTube, and we'll have all of Dave's information for our audience. We'll have this will be on YouTube in, a few weeks, and then on my website. And you can even put it on your website if you so choose.
I would love to do that. Yes.
Sounds great. Well, thanks again, Dave, and thank you to our audience for joining us for another episode, and we'll see you next time.